doing all that?
This meeting is being live streamed. Cool.
All right,
Easy.
and I'm recording. Okay, so where were we? Yeah, okay, so you mentioned in the group. All right, so usually under so in like my self-discipline thing, I'll make a little list like town meeting. And this
Yeah.
is where I'll take notes during anything I'm doing.
Okay.
And then I'll take whatever list I make and I'll go back to my master and I'll sort it to wherever it needs to go and wherever I want it to be.
Okay.
I know, right?
I should
And,
probably do something like this for myself.
Oh, come on. I know you're good at Excel, right?
I am.
Yeah, so I mean,
Exceptionally
for
good at
me,
Excel.
so for me, I'm wondering, well, okay, so this is maybe like the 10th iteration, and that's why it's so blank.
Yeah.
Because I don't need, I don't have the motivation to put anything down to express, including to myself in the future
Yeah.
at this point in the growth process. Now,
So
I think I have old Tailor Masters that I can show you too.
but one thing that I see that you could add would be measurement data.
Like time?
No, I left it vague because you have so many different things. Like say that you are working on something, Tony's discipline, for example. So there are ways that you could create metrics for yourself to practice against. And then you could track those via spreadsheet format here over time. And then you would have a visual representation of what you're practicing by feel, which gives you 2 points of triangulation instead of 1, which will allow you to improve your ability to self-navigate more quickly. So if you're fast now, you'll be even faster. But the visual representation of your experience in a way that is different from experiencing it, normally graphs, data, charts, lists, etc., that would be how to take this to the next level, because that's what I would do if I were to combine your idea right here with what I can do in Excel. And that's easy stuff to do in Excel. It's more deciding what to track.
Would the color coding match that? Because this
Color coding is one thing, that colors have different meanings.
I don't remember what the colors mean right now, but at the time they had meanings.
You should put a color legend in those whenever you do that. Use 3 cells, red, yellow, and green. Is that what I see?
Yep.
Oh, that's
Want me to zoom in for you?
No, it's just the color blindness. I was guessing on one of them.
I forgot about it.
So you'd have a red cell, a yellow cell, and a green cell, and then words inside them that just say what the colors mean.
Yep, that wouldn't be too hard at all.
That's a trick I use all the time. But yeah, like say for meditation, for example, maybe you're practicing a type of meditation and you set up a heart monitor during it, and you don't look at the heart monitor, but you download the data when you're done. That's one example of a type of data you could apply to meditation. You could also do one better. You could get like an EEG, like an actual, instead of just knowing your heart rate, you could actually get the readout of your heart wave and watch that over time.
Okay, so
just a tiny dimension. Like you could do that in different ways. How many breaths do you take during a meditation? Because you have a timer, I'm guessing, or some sort of time limit. So you count your breaths, and maybe breath control is your thing. So you try to increase or decrease that number for your set duration over time. That's another dimension you could just add data to your experiences. So I do that kind of stuff a lot, and it helps me navigate. So the thing is,
you make a color legend for each? Because
my method changes with whatever I'm doing. The complexity fits the situation.
That's how I feel about these sheets, and that's why I don't remember what red, yellow, and green are. I could read back and probably figure it out.
Yeah.
But for me, this information, it's like a psychic code. Like if somebody really wanted to, they could figure it out. I could probably figure it out faster than anybody else in the world, but I'm not. Oh, right. What we were going to, and the whole reason why we started recording. You said I have a disdain for something. And I really want to find out more words about what you think it is.
When
But
what
I
set the memory?
say what?
When did I say that? That'll help me set the memory to
Oh, I
recall.
can pull it. Oh, I can. We can scroll back up in Messenger. There haven't been a lot of
Recent enough that it's you could scroll to it. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
You had a disdain.
It was today. But anyway, I was thinking about, because whenever people I love say things like that, it creates an opportunity to judge reality differently.
Yes.
Because my goal is to not have a disdain for anything. So potentially, you showed me, I don't believe in absolutes. Read the vibe, not the lyrics.
Yeah, you know what I was thinking? The disdain for
exactly.
disdain. The disdain for disdain.
Like, let
yeah,
it be.
I'm letting it be.
Read the vibe. Thank you. Maybe you should meditate more. You're reacting too much again. Anyway.
That's funny. Look, it's like a detector, man. It just beeps.
Well, it's kind of like better safe than sorry. For me, that's a red flag that goes up, but that's a completely internal red flag.
Yeah.
It's very hard. Okay, remember when we first met, within our first 2 months, I said you have to surprise me to teach me.
Yes. That took what?
In that, what I mean is that every single conversation where I am not surprised, I have choice in what I feel to be 99.99% of my reaction. And I am very rarely surprised, period.
Yeah, I feel that way too. I don't like it. I like being surprised.
You don't love it? It's so great. You can create your...
It's on the surprise, I guess. Like, I'm usually not surprised when something bad happens. And that's usually because I'm telling everybody who's trying very hard to make that bad thing to happen to stop. But of course, they know better than what I can see, and they're looking. So I was throwing that part away. The being surprised by something creative, like being surprised by being surprised by a perspective. That is something that I treasure, and I wish I could have more, because you go around collecting perspectives for a long time, and eventually you start to run into all duplicates.
Then with our last, we're only halfway. Nothing about last. Then that's part of the reason why I thought you would appreciate Johnny so much. I think.
So he failed my test, though.
Which makes him in what category, though? What people? Wait.
Dojo resonance. Or incompatible is a better word. He's incompatible with the resonance, the harmonic resonance of the dojo. And when I say harmonic resonance, I'm not talking about new age feely-deely. I'm speaking specifically, there are stable types of mental waveforms that produce superposition in additive ways reliably. We've covered that in the lectures. You know enough about what I mean to mean that. The right two thoughts will always add to more than they started to, because the troughs and the waves match up right. So if somebody is out of phase with that, meaning that is not their goal, and they don't want that to be their goal, and they would never understand that goal, whatever their waveform looks like, it will be out of phase and will be a destructive force, which circumstances are good. But the dojo is specifically designed to be a resonance chamber where 7 or 8 or 10 ideas bounce together in an additive way, and that disintegrates with even one person who actually.
I got you. No. I got you.
But yeah,
so since your position from the dojo's perspective, would you be opposed to me inviting Johnny to Ken's 13 or more groups?
So what I can do is that you can make any groups that you like, and I will be a part of
message group.
Right. So if it's this dojo specifically, if there is something special and unique and magical about this specific Facebook chat, that it has to be here, I have to accept that because I built that from zero, something I put in there makes it that way that isn't present anywhere else for you. So going off that line of reasoning, it makes sense that if there is a thing I believe is critical to having the room function as it does, and you believe the room is critical for what you want to do with it, then I need to maintain the integrity of what gives it its identity. And that's easy. That's a complicated way to say there's
Yeah, I said we were good on all those vibes.
Yeah. So there's a simple way. I'm making it the policy of the group, since I know how to spot the people. I know how to weed them out, and it works well over time. And my track record, I'd say, backs that up. Have them message me. I'll give them the test. And if they're offended by being tested before they can join a group of people they've never met, they've already failed.
Yeah, I got all of that.
It's easy and happy. I just, how do they react? The test is so easy. How do they act when they're right? And someone else is
I have a
wrong?
question.
And how do
What
they
do you
act
think
when
my
they're wrong?
last question was?
What's that?
What do you think my last question was?
You were talking about inviting Johnny, and I was trying to, as politely
To
as
where?
possible, to the dojo.
No.
So what were you talking about? Why did you even mention the
My
dojo?
last question, and it's on record, was, are you opposed to me inviting Johnny to all of Ken's 13 groups?
What is that?
You don't know about Ken's group?
No?
He drops like a different one every few days, I think. But one time I asked him about his numbers and if they were important, and he said he had 13 groups and 13 of this and 13 of that, and that he explained how the numbers lined up, and I summarized it as he's a numbers guy and that's how he works. And so the question was not about the dojo at all. It was about
Anywhere you invite. I think I said that.
13 groups.
I think I said that early, before I said anything about the dojo. I said, I'll go anywhere you invite me.
Yeah, but it wasn't about you. I asked, would you be opposed to me inviting Johnny into Ken's spaces? It's a question about perspective.
Well, yeah, that's how he feels. Personally, the only reason I didn't
question about perspectives on perspective.
I got it. So the only reason I didn't want Johnny in my room was because he was taking shits on the floor. I don't mind visiting. I don't mind visiting places where the person who owns that place is okay with people taking shits on the floor. I know how to watch my step. If that helps, that's a good analogy.
Oh yeah, analogy. So
hang on, my wife is calling me. Yes, wife.
Sit on the step.
I couldn't see the magnet. I put dirty dishes in the clean dishes. I didn't mean to. Okay, I'll do better. I just can't catch a break with this housework. It's okay. You can tell me when I screw up. It was a screw up. My wife and I, we have this thing where we love each other so much. And when we both met, we were both jerks in certain ways, and we were jerks to each other. But we love each other so much, we're trying to do better. One of those things is I try to help, and when I screw up, it makes my wife mad. The intention's good, but the quality is not there.
You said when you screw up, you try to make her mad?
No. Meaning if I help and I screw up and make it worse, she gets frustrated, and who doesn't? But we're trying, both of us, we have reactions like that in certain circumstances, and we're both working on tempering those reactions to not excuse the mistake, because the mistake needs to be called out, but to try and include as much of the original intent as possible into the reaction, so that it's not, abrasive when it doesn't need to be to get the same result. That's our own little project. All right, I'm excited about the Boondocks. Pause.
We can go ahead and set up that screen so we can start on time and I can get more housework done. But we still do have 20 minutes. What else did I want to go over? I wanted to go over the message.
The what now?
We'll go back up to that. Oh, hey, my wife just locked out. What am I looking for? Dojo.
Thought you looking for the Boondocks?
Oh, hey, my screen sharing needs to change.
Yep, we're looking at manufactured homes, mobile home sales in Columbia right now. Now we're in the Shepherds Dojo.
There we go. Let's see. What did I say? You said disdain. There we go. So
That one?
said 4 words gave me a lot to say, apparently. I said you had a lot to project, but they have more utility than you spoke of. More utility than what? The phone is the choice of my words. My lecture specializes compare and contrast. More utility than you gave it. The subjectivity of the words don't need your perspective. They could have anyone's. Thus, they could be found much more useful than you allowed them to be. Correct. I'm 100% saying other ideas have more utility. Unless all ideas are equal, some must have more utility than others. As am I. If the words are subjective by definition, then if you can't use them, then more education may be needed for those tools.
Mhm.
Yes, but whether they do or do not is usually up to your own knowledge base, whether they're all equal or not. Or perspective, like anger. I thought anger was a great anchor for this
Sure.
concept that I want to express, you know?
Anger and fear and lust and hunger are all driving agents.
Yeah, and a lot of people see them as negative.
Yeah,
And then you said there's another choice that could be true. And I said, at least another choice. Of course. That's why the maybe might be
Yeah.
needed. Like for most people, when I would say something like, if you can't use them for more education, then maybe needed, then maybe needed for those tools or whatever. I don't think that has any implication that other choices aren't true. So that isn't usually necessary to be stated.
Right. What I was doing,
But,
setting a standard
so
of
you said this.
destination and making a separation of efficiency or complexity. So you can have two ideas that reach the same destination. One of them might reach it in 10 steps, one of them might reach it in 2. And if the situation only calls for the destination, the one who does it in 2 has a 5 times evolutionary survival advantage over the person who does it in 10. That's the only point, is that yes, multiple correct answers are possible, but multiple optimal answers are not. And we don't know what optimal is until we have, number one, a perfect idea of what the goal is, and number two, a way to measure our success against the goal, and somebody else who is trying to reach that same goal a different way. Then you could start to narrow in on what's minimum, what's the limited amount of effort to achieve this thing, and whoever gets there first wins. If it's a competition one-on-one, like if one person gets there first and he's part of a group that has agreed to cooperate with each other, then the entire group gets there as soon as he does, to the extent that his word is trusted among those people.
Even if that group is 2. I think that's why I excel at group projects, because I can live vicariously through others.
Trust replaces
more
knowledge.
easily than
Trust
other people can.
Replaces knowledge. But people, because people have knowledge.
Some people have knowledge.
They all have what they have and how useful it is to you is a combination of them plus your creativity.
So is that what I have? Is that what you feel I've expressed disdain for?
Let me see here.
because I highlighted it there, and we just worked our way up to that comment. And that
Back before.
and that is specifically
Yeah.
why
Let's
I thought Johnny would be
before I
so
said
great,
disdain.
is because I figured Johnny
That you
could make you feel.
Oh, no.
And I thought you would appreciate feeling disdain
So
in a way that could be manageable because I can manage him. Like he claims to hate everybody, including me, but I always bring up he loves his wife and kids.
yeah.
And then if I can get him to soften there, then we can go to, whoever helps him run his drugs. And then we can go to me and the other guys to just make him feel good. We don't really help his business, but we're friends. We're actually friends. And so I can work him down from that, even though that's his default view. And I figured you would appreciate that rare soul who's the most FU person I've ever met, but I can still make him agreeable to love.
He wasn't the most FU person I've ever met. My mom was. And I saw how that ended for her. And he is about 2/3 of the way there.
So you don't think that he has a valuable perspective to offer you? Is another side question. We only have 2 minutes, and we still want to bring up
If there were no consequences, and the decision was mine, I would make the decision to remove him from the world, and I would sleep easy, feeling the world is a better place because he's not in it to suffer other people, or to make other people suffer his existence.
Was the same true of your mother?
Yes, the world was a better place when she died, except for the funeral home, because she and her family stiffed the director for the service and the cremation. I think
and do you feel healed from all of that?
What's that?
And do you feel healed from all of that?
I do now.
Objective perspective, third party wise.
I do now.
And is that the perspective you're choosing to speak from?
The only thing I carry with me is I don't ever want to see that happen again. And I know how it's born. I know what gives it strength, and I know what gives it life. So if I am a person with will, and I know the source of power for these things, and I have power myself in my linguistics or my buttons that I can press to control the groups that I've built over time, then I will use 100% of what I have to make that thing's existence so torturous that it will take itself elsewhere, which actually, Tony, is a good example of what I said needs to be true about racism. Everybody needs to treat racists like I treated Johnny. And that shit goes away overnight because those people don't have people selling them. They don't people
are subjective. Yeah.
Like they don't have basic needs. They get spat on in the street.
I haven't been to sleep yet. It hasn't been 10 hours. Go to bed.
That's funny. So that's but that's my approach. And I could be wrong. So what I say is because I can't control the universe or the world or reach to the ends of everything.
But it's subjective though.
What I'm saying is I can make a space that is as far as I can police, using the air quotes police, as far as I can observe, as far as I can manage. And within that space, I can say, this is how things work here.
I've got a question for you.
Let's hear it.
If Johnny and Ken met in my dojo and I kicked Ken out and gave him a test, do you think he'd pass it if he was angry?
It would depend on him and you, really. I don't know.
No, your test. Your test. So
I saw him pass while Johnny was giving him shit. But the test is very specific. The test measures intent. And it measures who strikes first.
Intent. I can work with that.
So you know the test.
No. I can work with that.
Do you know the test I'm talking about?
I know we've been through it before,
Like
and
every
because I
person in
haven't
JoJo has passed
doctored,
it.
because I haven't doctor test, that means that it assimilates already without hesitation into my personality.
Yeah.
So
It wasn't a problem for you to pass the test. You didn't even know you were being tested because all I was doing was watching you be yourself and checking boxes.
maybe that's what I have a disdain for.
Yes, because what
The
I did
ability to
was
test people.
the data collected to produce an average human response is a thing that you have expressed disdain for in the past. That was my statement there. I maybe said it out of order, but those two statements together are a complete thought. Meaning if you map the top 5 responses to a thing, you're covered almost all the time. And the rest of it, you just kind of figure out on your own.
I wonder if that's because of the way you had to map emotions.
It is, because I didn't know what they were. They didn't have categories they fell into. They were just data points. They had no categories. My graphs had no labels. I had to supply my own labels. Absolutely.
Couldn't you help? No. No. Do you keep any people around you that are 2/3 of the way there to where your mom was or unreachable or whatever that help you to see things in a different way?
They can't stand to be around me because I fight them. So no, I don't know people like that because I drive them away. They're a drain. They always need shit. They're always suffering, and not in a way that is something that they couldn't
But Big John doesn't project that.
something that they couldn't
Big John is a
self-generated. It's their
okay.
little pit of rage that they nurture like a pet, and they
Okay,
love
okay,
it,
you
and they
know
jerk
what,
it
Tom?
off every night so it doesn't run away.
You know
Like,
what, Tom?
thick relationship they have with their
Okay.
descendant.
Okay,
It's
take all
incestuous.
of those, take all of those emotions, wrap them up, put them through a wormhole through me, and I can't understand why he is any different than Ken. So
Right.
maybe we should
You
go
don't
back to the
understand Ken
test.
like I do, so that's why
We're late for Boondock.
we are. I think I measure
Well,
Ken differently than
we'll see. That's another thing. Part of what I told you was that I can walk John back to love from saying he hates everybody,
yeah.
Like that's his default. And that was a personal statement. So
Yeah.
I'm wondering if Ken is your Big John in the same way,
Here's the thing. I think
that
that you
even
might
when he expresses such negativity,
try
you
this idea on for size, Tony,
understand
though.
what goes
It might
behind
need
that.
it to happen to Johnny as part of his process. You ever think about it that way? Sometimes you need to run into something that doesn't budge when you're an asshole, and you lose something because of it, and you feel bitter like he did. That sticks with a person. Now, he may never, ever in 1,000 years be able to forgive me for that, but he experienced it. And if something like that happens again, that is part of the path to recovery, is getting your ass kicked by not being right.
He doesn't want to forgive you, and he doesn't see his ass as kicked. I see the value in people, and I see somebody who with Ken, I see somebody who could have more synergy with Ken than I could, and I'm connected to him enough to potentially make it happen.
I think if you can build it, that's great. I think we're building different things, and the different parts will take different forms and go through different processes. So what you're trying to build with Johnny and Ken might do a thing that I don't understand and haven't thought of, but I know it's not the harmonic resonance chamber. That's all I know. So whatever else you make with it,
Well, see, there isn't a minimum for anything I make. Like the question I went back to twice already was, how do you feel about me inviting him to all of Ken's 13 groups? think
I would feel.
I think. Oh, have you seen
what's
the
next?
Stink Meaner episode? Because Ken referenced Stink Meaner. We're late for Boondock.
Mhm.
Ken referenced Stink Meaner. You've seen all the Boondocks, yes?
It's been too long for me to say I can reference them, so I want to go through.
Okay. Let me try. I know all of them word for word, all seasons.
Okay.
In season 2, Stink Meaner comes back and possesses Tom.
Okay.
Ghostface Killer keeps trying to tell Hugh the whole episode peace. That's always his sign off. And at the end of the episode, after Uncle Ruckus, Reverend Father Uncle Ruckus, and everybody is beating Tom, giving him job applications, books, all types of nigga shit. Peace, when finally occurred and the spirit of Stink Meaner had to leave and the nigga moment was over, when they both agreed on how much they hated black people. So literally, when we get to that episode, I'm gonna create a group chat because you left the group chat. You just said you would stay in any space, but I made a group chat with me, you, Ken, and John. And
I blocked John. I blocked.
Yeah, yeah. But you can still add people.
Let me talk about that, Tony. Let me talk about
the words. You left the group.
The words that Johnny gave me. You read those words, didn't you?
I read those vibes, which are more important than those words, but I understand the difference and what you're saying.
Like, there was
harm in
no reason for me to give that man anything with the expectation that he wouldn't turn around and attack me. After those vibes, he was just like, he had already written.
Did you feel like, do you feel like he listened to you at the beginning? Because I feel like Ken has written off 3/4 of all black people on earth, or at least in the United States. I feel like 3/4 of the people in the United States of America that are dark skinned and call themselves black. Because there's a lot of people who don't call themselves black that I think Ken would love that are black. But I think he's written off 3/4 of all black people in the United States who call themselves black. Because if you call yourself black and you don't represent yourself by his perspective of black, then he has a lot of negative things to say about you. He constantly expresses, not to you,
right,
but to the group with one other black guy that you're in charge of.
Run. I think he can, the way he expresses himself isn't an attacking way. He's not being specific to you.
He's being specific to the.
Now you're projecting that you're the black person he's talking about, to borrow your word.
No, I didn't know. That is not to borrow my words at all.
Right.
So intend to accept that responsibility. Because honestly,
attacking you, that doesn't go against what the group is trying to build.
Honestly, Tom, if I wasn't there and before I came, I don't believe he spoke any differently. So the point of my words is not to say that there's anything targeted or projected at me. The point is to say I'm the only other point of reference in the room to let you know that your friend is racist and you might be adopting some of his racist ideology that I really would like you to look at.
So when I have a problem with that is to be called a racist or to adopt a racist ideology as the start of a conversation is not a good
start, right?
What I'm saying is that it's the start of a new point, the start of a new argument. The first
No, it's the racist. No, it's not.
Let's narrow it down.
It's a point of context, not to build a tangent upon. If you disagree, then that word needs to fit into whatever mold you do agree with, whether it's prejudice, whether it's anti-black. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
So let's say it out. Is Ken racist, in your opinion?
Not if you don't think he is.
No. What I think has
anything
to do with what a racist is. A racist exists as a concept. I don't decide that or influence it.
Oh. In that case, I don't know. I don't look at it where he's getting his money. I don't look at how he actually teaches people. All I have to go on is the persona that he projects in the dojo, because we're not friends on Facebook and don't comment on posts and things like that. So I don't even know him enough to personify him as a racist. I have friends that are racist that I won't call racist. So I won't call Ken a racist for the purpose of actual, discussion.
Well, I mean, if it's a lie that you're not calling him a racist because you're being polite, that's one thing.
It's not because I'm not being polite, it's because racism is subjective and we'd have to define racism. And then we'd have to look at what he says. And if we can judge a racist based on only what they say, then I can maybe call him a racist. I mean, I'm sure I could look back far enough to find racist statements. I mean, can we put a number on how many racist statements you need to say?
I think we need to put a standard of judgment on how many people need to agree a statement is racist before it counts.
Is anti-Black racist?
We need to put a number on the number of people who say something is anti-Black.
Okay, if we can, does that equate to also racism though?
What would make it right? Because right now you're the only guy who's setting definitions for what is what is racist and what is anti-Black.
But that's why I used your word. Your word is anti-Black that you use. So like once we decide that that's another equal standard, then I was going to ask you to define.
No. I said racist and then you said anti-Black. You pivoted.
Yeah, because you used the word anti-Black in previous chats.
Right. You pivoted so fast, like LeBron James. I just pivoted with you.
Yeah, so I'm pivoting back and I'm trying to let you know that I'm using your word and that's the direction I was going and that's where we're walking down. If you'd like to take that tangent, I can try to, but that won't really help the educational exchange that I was looking forward to.
Oh, I mean, the only thing I was trying to say was that the thing that I agree with Ken about, that I think you do not agree with me about, is that there is a split on how many different people can be racist.
What? What would make you think I disagree about that?
Ken talks a lot about, and I'm not going to dignify the term.
You don't have to.
By calling it reverse racism, because that's a misnomer. It's racism. But I feel a lot of times there's an attempt to have a second category which splits off all racism and attempts to peel away only Black racism, specifically racism moving towards Black people. And that's a thing that is very commonly talked about and that's commonly structured and phrased. However, anytime you try to change that model, especially publicly, oh, what about Black racism against white folks? Blackface racism against other Black folks, which we see in the Boondocks. That's a thing where I start to feel it's not as agreed upon. And the thing that Ken zeroes in on super hard, which I appreciate because it is the source of power, in my opinion, of really what keeps racism going is anyone can do it. And it doesn't matter what your skin color is if you're going to be a racist. Like, it's the irony that he's pointing at, which is why I can see it.
He's you understand that's why Chappelle gave up $60 million, though?
Well, I mean, he wouldn't have done that if he had $0. Let's start with that. He gave up $60 million because he had other millions, first of all.
We can start with that if you'd like to. I don't think that diminishes the value from our perspective, does it?
I don't know. I'd have to ask him. Hey, Chappelle, you gave up all that money. If you were broke, well, I know what he would say.
Hell no, he wouldn't. Yeah, we agree on that. I think you missed the question again, though.
He would say N-word shit. That's what
I think you missed the question again.
Maybe.
I think you missed the question again.
So why did Chappelle? You said that's why Chappelle.
I said, why does that lower the value of what he gave up? Think about all you have.
Oh, because he doesn't
zero.
He doesn't need to suffer. Like, he's not making a. You can say he's making a sacrifice. He's sacrificing an opportunity.
Which he did.
But
okay. So
more than other people is my point. He has an abundance of opportunity, and that was a big one that he could let go.
Yeah, the point is that it's still a big one.
So that measures direction, but it's different if somebody has $1 and they do the same.
It's different for that person, but that doesn't change the value of the 60 million that was given up.
No,
that 60 million is still 60 million if you're Bill Gates, Jeff Bezos, or Bum on the Street. Yes, it's the feeling of worth or the personal value or the individual value the individual perspective on that 60 million changes. But that
Yeah.
60 million is important in itself because
Money
currency
is important.
talks.
I was
And
talking
that
about
value doesn't change based on perspective. So
money.
when I reference what he walked away from, it isn't based on what he it wasn't based on what he saw it as. It was based on what everybody would see it as. He sees it as less than the average.
Yes.
So I was already taking into account in that statement that it wasn't about him giving up something that was as important for him as it would be for us. The point was about giving up something that is important in itself.
Yeah,
Something that is
you're making
still
an argument.
monumental. That is the core and the crux of the entire statement.
Are you saying that was from his book?
No, those are from hours of interviews I've watched.
No. Say is not to say that this is proves anything because it doesn't. But if I didn't care about the money, I could make that argument too. I could make those words come out of my mouth. And I wouldn't ever be challenged on them. And I would know that. That's all I'm saying.
What do you mean? It sounds like that's the other perspective, but it sounds equal. Like it sounds like the same thing I said.
What I'm saying
But
is
it should be the opposite thing I said.
It's not as verifiable as somebody who could be tested.
What do you mean? Why does it need to be? What? It sounds like you're still referencing the difference in perspective.
Right, what I'm saying is I could make a case that said I only care about this perspective of the everyman. Yes, I realize that I miss the almighty Dave Chappelle, and maybe he is. Maybe
wouldn't that be a lie? Unless
I'm be able to finish a sentence, Tony. If I'm going to get
okay, I'm sorry. Go on. You got it.
Like I've had 20 half ideas. I haven't said very much at all.
Meditation will help that.
No. I'm like being able to speak for 10 uninterrupted seconds will help that too. So what I'm saying is if I am Dave Chappelle and I have this position and I am a social creature, I can make two pictures that look exactly the same from the outside that have a very different internal construction. So it's an interesting thing I see when you mention this. Dave Chappelle has this opportunity he turns down, and maybe he says, wow, 60 million, and he's really feeling that. And maybe he is, and he says that publicly. And 100% of the things he said in the interviews were 100% straight on. That's one choice, and it would look exactly like this looks from the outside perspective. We watch it on TV. Now, Dave Chappelle is a comedian. He's an actor. He's an entertainer. He's a socialite. He's connected into these large structures. He has access to people who have even greater access to these structures. Now, he's also a comedian. He says, fuck you to a lot of guys. But what I'm saying is if I am Dave Chappelle and I can walk away from $60 million, I wouldn't focus on how much money I have if my goal was to further my career. I wouldn't focus on saying I don't need the money. I would focus on saying this is a lot of money for anybody. I'm a good guy because of this. I care about the world because of that. And the motivation behind such a presentation would be completely different. However, from an outside perspective, it would look exactly the same. So my point is when we talk about the story of Dave Chappelle walking away from $60 million, we have to accept that there comes a conversation about motivation that isn't cut and dry in one direction. We can talk about if his motivation was pure, here's what it would look like. So all I was saying is because that was referenced almost as an outside story with things being built on top of it, I needed to show that that was two different things that could be true so that everything doesn't get built on one side, because then it's a good perspective, but it's unbalanced. There was an equal perspective to be built at the same time, double dip in the idea to get more depth out of it. The end.
But it's so much less likely.
How do you know?
Statistically?
What do you mean? Statistically, people screw each other over more.
Not for $60 million, they don't. Statistically, that is a high number.
Yeah.
Statistically, there's a lot of people who don't have that perspective. statistically, there's a lot of people who can't understand that from the other side of that.
So you can only measure how
Statistically,
billionaires feel about money to get an accurate measurement statistically.
no. Well, I mean, depends on what you're measuring. In my reference to the statistic in question, it's only as to statistically, more than 50% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Yeah, that's true.
Statistically, Dave Chappelle is in the 51%, and that's all I need. I'm not looking at the extreme here. I'm not
Yeah.
looking at the 60 million here. I'm not
Yeah.
looking at the money Dave Chappelle has here. What I'm saying when I mention the statistic, to what you responded with, you have to question billionaires in order to know that, is just that even if you are a minimalist, like I try my best to be and fail horribly at, that's the way to put it. I try every day to just focus on being grateful, and more things come to me every day, which I try to give away because I'm grateful for them. And so I think other people should be grateful for them.
What happens when you're ungrateful? You lose
I
things?
lose it. Oh yeah. You think I have things in my life I'm ungrateful for?
Oh, I'm curious. I know this is a tangent, but it's a wild tangent. But it's directly related to my mind. How was Johnny's home life? You don't have to go to the detail. You can say good or bad.
Good.
Okay. He's not in trouble with the law. He's not complaining every day about being miserable. He's got a
He's
good
probably
job.
in trouble with the law. He's got a wonderful wife, 3 lovely kids. They live together in harmony. I've seen them fight once, but they laugh and talk about the fights often. Because apparently they both
Big
fight.
shot where he only gets riled up when people can't punch him? Or does he get riled up in person like that too?
I've seen him riled up when somebody shorted him before, or no. I've seen him riled up when. No, I've never seen him riled up.
In person?
I've only seen his number one riled up. I've seen him after a gun's been pulled on him and he's not riled up.
Yeah. All right, that he makes a little more sense now. Pussy. Say that shit to me in my face, and one of us is going to the hospital, or both. And I don't care if it's me. You fight somebody who doesn't care if it's them that goes to the hospital, that's the best I can do. All right, let's get
Good
some.
luck with that one. How do you do an HBO watch party?
I mean, we can do something.
Well, I know host a watch party with HBO Max. Add to Chrome, it's free. Do you have the Chrome extension? I think you might need it.
I mean, I don't know if you should that in 5 minutes.
Well, I thought I had it already. I know. Oh wait, no, I did one for Disney Plus.
All right, so let's try that. What am I looking for? HBO watch party.
Yeah, look. You want me to put the link in the chat? There you go. All right, so I should have it now. Do I need to restart Chrome to do it? Probably. Oh, Zoom is now Max screen.
Where'd you give me the link?
The Zoom chat.
Oh, in Zoom chat. I never use that. Let me find it.
I can put it in the. I can send it to you.
I'm already here.
Oh,
Add extension.
I can't minimize Zoom when I'm recording a meeting.
Interesting. All right, so I've added it to Chrome.
I have as well, and I restarted Chrome.
Okay.
But how do I use it? Let's see. Settings, extensions. HBO watch party is on. Where is it?
Hmm.
I added it, but how do you do it?
I don't have my HBO login. I thought I did. We might have to set the HBO watch party up for next time.
Yeah, we can both just do it if you want.
I thought you were gonna pop it on YouTube.
YouTube.
Hey, do you want to do like a half hour or a 45-minute thing tomorrow where we just do the,
That sounds good for me because it's almost 10
actually do the
anyway.
thing we said we were gonna do?
All right, so oh, that's right. I posted on Facebook too, didn't I? I'm gonna just delete that because it was like an hour ago anyway. Under 100 people have seen it. I can just delete it.
Like this video, I don't think was without its merits. It's interesting. You might want to chop it up a little bit.
Nope, I'm just leaving it on YouTube for anybody to watch who wants to watch and be confused.
Digital archive. One of us will be interesting one day, or both of us, hopefully. And then they'll be like, "What else they got out there?"
Hey, what are you talking about?
He's wearing that sweatshirt. This was when he was
Are
in.
we planning for tomorrow at 9 o'clock?
Let's do something. Can we do something a little sooner, or are you pretty much locked into that late? I can if you are.
My wife is at work, but I'm good with earlier, like 7 or 6 or anything works really.
Okay. Why don't I play it by ear and let you know in the morning because I got some stuff to do at my shop.
All right, sounds good.
All right, brother.
I'll see you later.
Tony, you're a good man.
Love you.
Love you too, brother.
Peace.
Thanks for